Everyone, let's meet Gordon Gray. He's the Director of Fiscal Policy at the American Action Forum. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So prices still aren't going down, but inflation isn't going up. Break down what is at stake, because they're nowhere near what we saw in July and June of 2022.
That's right. That's right. And I think you framed this just right, which is all the work that the Federal Reserve has done to basically put interest rates in a very restrictive posture, basically trying to slow the economy, but not slow it so much that we put it into recession. And so the game there is really to prevent prices from growing too fast. It's not to bring prices down. So one of the important points, I think, about the consumer price index and how we look at inflation data, and I would point to that last graphic, which showed sort of eggs and all these components of food, for example, and energy, is that those are really volatile. So just like some of those egg prices went through the roof, now they're falling. But when you take out a lot of that more noisy data, then you get to that core inflation that people talk about, which was at 4%, and that's been a little bit more stubborn. Some of that is just a little slower moving, and it really takes the Federal Reserve leaning against it to bring the price growth a little bit more under control.
And just as to remind our viewers that inflation is always happening. The Federal Reserve, in its moves to raise interest rates, is trying to get it in that soft spot of 2%. But, I mean, there's a reason a can of Coke doesn't cost 50 cents anymore like it did when we were younger. Prices, there's natural inflation. I guess, give us some of the cliff notes from this report and the nuance that our viewers can, that they need in order to understand where things stand as far as inflation goes.
Yeah, and hopefully the folks watching have already sort of experienced some of this, which is, hopefully when folks are putting gas in the pump, that there is not as much sticker shock as there was even a couple of years ago when we saw the run up in prices so dramatically. But with gas, that tends to be a little bit more volatile. So just in the report we saw today, where energy prices actually took pulled down some of the inflation numbers, because sometimes gas and petroleum products in general can be really volatile on the global energy market. So some months they'll be way up, and other months they'll be way down. And hopefully we're going to start seeing it be way down more often than way up. But a lot of the goods that we buy, the services that we purchase, don't tend to work that way. They tend to be, the price movements tend to be a little bit more stubborn and a little bit more predictable. And unfortunately, that kind of got broken in the last couple of years. And that's what the Fed's doing, is just trying to get things a little more under control. Some of those more volatile pieces will always be volatile.
And with the Fed rate hikes that we've seen, for as much as they appear to be working based off this report, how many more can we expect? What does the short term look like as far as those rate hikes moving forward?
So the Fed has one more meeting on its books this year in December, and odds are very good that they're certainly not going to increase rates anymore. Keep in mind that interest rate setting isn't the only thing that the Federal Reserve does. Separately, they're letting their balance sheet. So during the Great Recession and then during the COVID pandemic, the Federal Reserve was also buying an awful lot of financial assets, government bonds and mortgage bonds. And they've let their balance sheet build up to a large extent. And part of the process of slowing the economy down, putting a little bit of some pressure on the economy, a restrictive monetary policy, is letting that balance sheet run off. So even though the Fed isn't necessarily increasing interest rates, they're doing other things as part of their mandate to control price growth.
And one more for you. I know holidays are coming up, a lot of spending, a lot of people putting money into food, into gifts. So what are the headlines here for our viewers within the context of the season that we're entering?
Right. So because of all that work that the Fed has done, and we're seeing that throughout the economy. So we're still adding jobs to employers' payrolls every month, but not as much. We're not getting those blockbuster jobs numbers that we used to. Unemployment is still low, but it's not truly bouncing off the historic lows. And so We've seen the progress that the Fed has made in sort of slowing the economy, and we're seeing that in some of the prices that people are experiencing at the supermarket and the gas gas pumps, some of those are coming down. So hopefully, as folks do their Christmas shopping, it won't hurt them in their wallets, at least to the same degree that we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, a lot of people will appreciate hearing that. Gordon Gray with the American Action Forum, thanks so much for joining us.